This is episode 187. Is it a computer password or an Ibanez model number?
Every episode's a shakedown cruise of the tone control. Welcome, Bell. Oh my gosh.
We's back.
We're
in
back.
video form. Back as hell.
That's correct. We're hopefully, I just can't help it. Every single time I do something, every single time now I do a podcast, I make some change. I have to,
Yeah.
It's like every single time is a shakedown cruise.
Right, yeah.
But hopefully everything's okay. What I've learned is all this stuff, every time I try to add some fancy new thing, I am stressing the hell out of the graphics chip in my Mac.
Oh.
The CPU, I got this for days. I got CPU for days. I did not spring for an upgraded graphics chip. So anyway, hopefully, since there's very little action going on in this, it'll all be okay to run. But anyway.
Doug in the chat asking if the videos are laggy or if it's just him. Mine feels a little bit laggy, even coming in, like yours coming in. I know that I am seeing like a reflection of me back to me, so like it's even more delayed. But yours seems a little choppy, but it's okay. I think our wives are actually talking right now, and I think they might be on FaceTime, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing that it's getting encoding lag.
Do we need to tell them to shut up? Totally kidding. I would never tell my wife that.
It's not network. It's not network. It's encoding lag.
Oh,
I'm gonna disable preview that takes some of the load off of things. So anyway, that's fine.
That's fine. We'll survive.
I'll watch and hopefully we didn't just get a bunch of weird crap. Anyway.
Yes, if you're wondering what the hell it is we're talking about, the tone control is now on YouTube, and that if you're watching us there, then welcome. This is really cool and fun, and we have this new screen for you to look at while Justin and I are catching up and stuff. We didn't have that last time, so good for us. And
made some changes. It's gonna be okay. I think it's fine. I just learned that my Mac, I need to turn off the preview. Because then when it tries to render it for me and encode it to the video, that's when it all freaks out. Everything's going to be fine, and we're going to be smooth as butter. So, man.
We're weak.
Yeah, I went to the dentist.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
That was the chatter in Discord this week.
Yeah, a few days ago, my vaccine was official. I had been 2 weeks since my dose 2, and so I just immediately found some stranger and opened my mouth near them for an extended period of time.
They stuck their fingers and instruments in.
Just went all in there.
Yeah. There was like drumsticks and hi-hats and...
I got the typical dentist clean bill of health, which is to say floss more, but other than that, you're doing pretty good. I assume everybody hears that from the dentist. I don't think there is a level of flossing that would actually satisfy any dentist.
Yeah, I've told my dentist the last time, actually I went a long time without having a dentist because I was moving around so much, and it was like my own fault and I was a lazy idiot about it. But when I first went back to a dentist after like kind of too long away, I was like, I hate flossing. I hate it. Everybody hates it. I'm going to level with you. Like it sucks. And they're like, oh, really? And like the tech or whoever was like, I really like it.
Surprised by that?
Yeah, she was like, oh, if you start doing it, like you get really used to it, and then you love doing it. I was like, well, yeah, I'm sure that's the case with all things that suck, like running. Running sucks.
If you floss enough that your gums don't hurt anymore, maybe it's awesome, and we just don't know. It's like, oh man, this floss tastes great. Like maybe you'll get into it, and you'll have all these
you become a flossy.
See, I thought I had a good joke, but that was a better joke.
Yeah, you just like get really into floss types, bespoke flosses.
Bespoke flosses for you and yours.
What else? What else happened this week? Was that your big adventure? Was that like the first thing you've done kind of out?
I feel like there was another thing I was going to bring up, but I cannot for the life of me remember what. I know. Because I can't stop tinkering with things, I am moving stuff around on my game stream too. So today, like between things, when stuff was like rendering on the computer at work, I started building homemade soft boxes for
nice.
the can lights in the ceiling of my game room, because my game room has can lights, and so I can put like really powerful, but they're like not pointed the right way. And so now so I made one and it fits great and it's awesome. I made it out of a cardboard box and I'm a genius. Right. And I'm working on the other one. So anyway, that's so nerdy.
Cool.
Bad.
Cool lights, man.
Anyway, whatever. Do you have a what's up this week besides the number one thing on our notes?
I got my second vaccine dose on Monday.
Oh yeah.
And it was great.
You're recovered.
Yeah, so we were just talking right before we hit record. Like, I'm sorry if people are tired of hearing everyone else's vaccine stories, because it's like, it's become the thing. Like, I do it all the time, but it's also like talking about the weather. It's like talking about traffic or a flight or the thing that, like, it's what you talk about when you have nothing else to talk about. But, you know, here's my vaccine story. It was good. First one, my arm hurt for like 4 days. It was really insane, actually, how much it hurt. And I felt pretty good afterwards. Some brain fog, but it could have also been crashing from the intense amounts of adrenaline and superiority I felt over my fellow human. So I was coming down off that pretty hard.
Right.
But the second one, my arm only hurt like maybe half as much for like 2 hours, and then it was fine. And it feels great now. It's like it never happened. However, Tuesday, almost exactly 24 hours after my shot, I started feeling pretty crummy. The usual like aches, kind of mild headache, tired and just groggy and like, however, I have felt worse and still like gone out into the world and done things and like lived my life. So I was like, if this is as bad as it gets, I'm in good shape, which I was. So, and then slept it off, and now I feel amazing. Yesterday I felt great too. So like it was a solid 1 day, not even like a full 24 hour. It was a business day.
A business day. Yeah. I think that is almost exactly my experience. Like to within a couple of hours of every single thing you said. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Are you team Pfizer?
Yes.
Yeah. I wonder if
left arm or right arm?
Left arm.
Left arm.
My second one was a drive up, actually. And
I saw the picture.
Driver's side. Yeah. So they just like got me right there. It was cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was thinking we should do something like send us your vaccination record, or like prove you got the vaccine and get something cool from the tone control, but I have nothing to offer. So other than like fun praise and like, again, intense superiority over your fellow human.
We'll give him let's make a roll in Discord.
Yeah. Vaccinated.
You'll be at the top
as hell.
List. We'll make a channel that only the vaccinated people can post in, but everybody can see.
Yeah. and we'll say stuff like, overdrives are stupid.
The tube screamer. Meh.
Yeah. I think we'd get a lot of agreement with that. But yeah, we'll say stuff like, how about bass guitar?
How about it, baby?
Anyway.
How about it? Anyway.
Yeah, I think that's all that I had going on.
All right.
Work stuff, works good. The usual.
The usual. Yeah. Cool. Let's transition into our first thing here. Little Keeley aria for you.
Yeah. I saw one of those for sale for a really good price the other day. Oh, I thought about getting it. Yeah. Didn't buy it.
I was thinking now that I've like prescribed what sounds I'm going to play, because I'm doing them in as we record instead of in post, I could actually call them out on the show, and that's even cooler. I don't know why I didn't realize that last time. That was the Keeley aria, everybody. So, first up, why am I showing a picture of what is this? Tone Jerks? Is this a copycat podcast of us?
Yeah.
What's going on with these clowns?
For being real, I thought they ripped us off when they first came across my radar. But and it's a super long time ago. True. No. I was on the Tone Jerks on the one that came out this week, actually, the day that I was sitting at home recovering from my shot. But on our off week, so last week, I filled in for Kyle because Kyle just moved from California to Texas. And there's an episode coming out where he tells that whole story, so go check that out. I don't know the details yet, so I can't spoil it. But he drove from California to Texas, and it sounded like it was a hell of a lot to do. So and Brian didn't want to delay the podcast schedule, so we hung out and we just talked about kind of the same stuff we just talk about, which is like guitar and music and just friggin' chilling.
It was fantastic.
It was really fun.
A massively good episode.
It's so fun to like.
What did I say? It was my favorite controlling jerks episode.
Something like that, yeah. So it's the episode that came out on the 27th. It's episode number 178, The Lone Control, with me from the Tone Control. So yeah, it was fun. We've done that a couple times. We've collabed with them, with the four of us, but also I was in a bonus episode with Brian early in the pandemic. And we just sort of shoot the shit about all the things that we have in common. So, which is like guitar and music and stuff. So it was good. We're always just like the week before, we're always like, oh, what should we talk about? We need topic ideas. And then we open the call and we're like, what do you think about this? And we just go. We just go.
No, it was such a flow, and there was these points where you just been going and just talking about interesting stuff, one thing after the, and then there's a moment where you're like, oh man, we're supposed to be talking about this, and it's like, well, no, you're not. It's you're doing whatever you want, and it was so tight, so good.
Good. Brian does great editing with that stuff. Like he does a really good job of making. We had to break once, and you'd never know it, and stuff. So like there's a few like every now and then on the regular episodes of the Tone Jerks, I think I can hear I think that was like a break in conversation, but I have no way of knowing for sure because it's so smooth every time. So
that's funny.
Yeah,
that's funny. And I, for the record, there was some mention that he and I could do an episode where we just talk about recording nerd stuff. I'm game. I was actually going to message him about that, but I think it's actually funnier if I just communicate. We only communicate with each other through podcast episodes. So, Brian, when you hear this, sure, man.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that sounds good. I like that. Oh, also, you're my least favorite jerk, too.
Yeah, a lot of the questions were like, who's your least favorite co-host of the Tone Control? Like, who's your least favorite member of the Tone Control Discord server? Stuff like that.
A little bit of overlap there.
Yeah, it was fun.
A little bit.
'Twas a lot of fun. Those jerks are good jerks, good guys.
They are. Go check it out. Tone Jerks podcast. Do it. Just find it. You know where it is. Come on. All right. Next up.
Was that one of my demos?
It sure was. Do you want to guess what pedal that was?
I can just look at the notes.
Would you believe that's the short version of the demo that I have? Because I always make a full length and then a short one for putting in between segments. I think I've never used that because of how long the short one is.
Yeah, probably because of who it was. We probably did a long form feature on it. But
we did.
Yeah, gosh, I don't remember doing that, but I was like, this sounds like something I would play.
Yeah.
And it was like totally kind of like, oh, that's a lick that I do too often. Like,
do you want to guess?
It's the Copper Sound Daedalus.
Yeah. Did you cheat and look at the notes, or did you actually know?
I did cheat and look at the notes. I'm going to be honest with you.
It's a Copper Sound Daedalus. It's good.
It's a good reverb.
So what's this beautiful thing I'm looking at?
So yeah, we've talked about this a little bit in Discord lately, and so if in the chat like have known about this for a little while, but I've been really turned on to Novo guitars in the last like year or more, and kind of thought like, oh, that'd be a really nice someday, super nice high-end handmade guitar for myself, you know. Felt a little cost prohibitive, felt like really out of reach, so it was just like maybe someday I'll find a good deal, pie in the sky kind of thing. But since enrolling in grad school, I was like, you know what? I'm going to set myself a goal to save X dollars every paycheck and put it away into the Derek Guitar Fund or the Derek Fun Time Fund. And I have been doing that, not knowing what I was going to get. But I was like, actually, you know, this would be the perfect thing. Did the math, how many pay periods I have until I finish school at the current rate. It's like, I'll have enough money to get a Novo. And that's going to be my graduation gift to myself when I'm done with school. So Novo is based in Nashville. They're made by Dennis Fano of Fano Guitars, who no longer works at Fano Guitars. So he went off and spun up Novo.
Because he works at Novo.
Yeah, duh.
Idiot.
So they make a bunch of guitars, and I'm keen on the Serus J, which is all their guitars are offsets, but the J is the Jazzmaster style, and it's got two P90s and a Mastery bridge and trem, and it's a simplified control layout from a Jazzmaster, but it's very much that sort of 60s, you know, Jazzmaster surf rock kind of thing. So I'm going all in.
Looking good.
Yeah, so there's two ways to order: Novo Select and Novo Custom. Select is like limited features or limited options to choose from. Limited color set, pickguard material, that kind of stuff. And you get the guitar in 2 or 3 months. Novo Custom, you get the full deal. You can choose from every color, every material, every pickup option, every hardware option, every neck shape, you know, everything. And you just sort of like pick and choose, and they apply that to their designs and all that stuff. And that wait list is currently 12 months, which really sucks, but I'm pretty close to getting on the wait list. I have not gotten on the wait list yet, but you know, it's partly pandemic related, partly like making sure this is actually what I want to spend my money on, because it's a lot of money and I want to make it count. Yeah. So putting a little bit away when I can, rainy day fund, but I'm super excited for it already, even though I'm not even on any kind of list. So I just wanted to mention it here because like I did mention it on the episode with Brian that I just did, and I was like, I haven't even talked about this on my own podcast yet, so I should probably say something. But yeah, I'm super into it. They make a bunch of other cool guitars. I'd be curious to know which one you're into, Justin. These are all Serus models here. So if you go back,
if I go back, I will tell you right now.
I'm wondering if you would like
this. I like this on the left. The
Serus
softer,
T.
The T. That's boring of me, right? To just pick the Telecaster, but
it's got a P90 in the neck. Though.
I like this color. Like, look at the wood too. Like, I love the way the grain is on the like.
So what they're doing, their guitars are pine bodies, tempered pine, and they do this thing where they're how they age it is this big industry secret, or I guess, but they are raising the grain.
Right. And they're letting the grain soak up and swell.
Yeah. And it's like you can feel the wood texture. It's not a super smooth coat, but then also really thin finishes. They're relic finish. They look great. I'm probably going to go with a really light relicing. This one here, this gray one, you can really see the grain.
I'm loving this Miras so far.
The hollow body variant of the Serus.
Hollow body, yep, and looks like basically different pickup kind of things. I love this. All right, what else do we have here?
I think I'm curious if you would like the Voltour.
All right, let's look at
because it's pretty fucking rock and roll. But the Solus is like the
this is like a special.
Yeah, like a Les Paul Jr. type thing or an Esquire.
Okay, not for me.
Single pickup. They also make a double humbucker version.
Although anything looks cool when it's done like this. It looks like you took like part of an old barn wall and made a guitar out of it. Okay, let's go on here. So the Voltor. Ooh, edgy.
Yeah, it's kind of a non-reverse Firebird inspired.
All right.
Into it though. Into it.
Okay.
The more I look at it, the more I'm thinking like someday I might get one of those too. Never know.
I think I wouldn't pick that one. All right, well, I got one more to look at.
Oh, Revolta is the Revolta guitars. Like they're made by Nova. Oh. We've talked about them before.
Oh, okay. Yep. Boring. No, I'm just kidding. That's fine. I think I like Miras. I like the. I don't have anything that's like a hollow or semi-hollow. I think I would, if I was going in for one of these, I think I'd pick one of these guys.
They're very nice. They're
looks like the J and the T are ready, and then they've got some other ones like the H2, P2.
H2
I mean, obviously we can tell what these names just make sense. Like what? I think there are plenty of guitar companies who are doing it correctly like this, but there are a few where it's like the name is some weird code, and you got to figure, oh, that's the one with 2 humbuckers. Like,
well, it's like, is it a computer
or something, right?
Is it a computer password or an Ibanez model number?
Nice. Oh man, if that one wins, because the thing is, like, they're not even in this episode. Like,
I know.
We have no reason to dunk on Ibanez right now.
I felt really proud of that one.
That was so good, man.
Okay.
All right, hey, so we're gonna move on to the next. We're going to move on to the next of the news. I'm resizing my Discord window because I'm having trouble with screen real estate. I added an iPad to my setup, by the way, which is why I'm looking much closer to the camera, because I'm sidecarring the iPad up here next to my camera, so I can actually look like I'm not staring off in the wrong direction when I talk to you.
There you go.
However, I still don't have enough fucking pixels, man. What's the matter?
I was gonna vamp while you figured yourself out over there.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm good to go. Okay. You ready to go? All right, next thing.
Yeah.
As I recall, you didn't love that pedal.
Sabracadabra?
Yeah, that was the Sabracadabra from
Cattle and Bread. It's very good at doing the Tony Iommi thing, but only that. That's what I remember.
Right.
And it makes a lot of sounds.
You made a cool demo out of it. I mean, that might not be the kind of music you wanted to make that day, but maybe, or most days, but on that day, that's
maybe my superpower is making pedals I don't like still sound pretty good. What a weird superpower to have. So I was going to say, there's not a ton of news this week, and nothing that I really felt was, oh my God, so exciting. We got to talk about this on the show. So we put the word out.
So we're throwing up this oldie. Like, let's just talk about old news.
So I put the word out in Discord. Did this come out
like 2 years ago?
It did, yeah. I put the word out in Discord, like, what should we talk about this week? And a new member of the Discord and the Patreon said to maybe talk about this new thing with real amps with virtual cabs built in. Referencing the aux box, which is not an amp, but the new Victory Kraken V4, which is a new guitar thing we could have talked about, but I like that this conversation is sort of surrounding that instead, as well as the Rev D20, G20, and Generator 120 Mark III. So if you're not familiar, the Rev amps and the Victory Kraken V4 are guitar amps, full deal guitar amps that have a 2-notes torpedo Captor X, I believe it is, baked right into the thing. Like right in the chassis, you can go direct out with 2-notes torpedo IRs, or 2-notes IRs, to record silently, to front of house, to whatever. Or you can still go into a regular cab and use it like a regular guitar amp.
And it's a guitar amp too.
Yeah, it's also a guitar amp.
My takeaway. So here's my approach because those two, and then the aux box is a little bit different. But it's like when you talk about this whole topic, it's like I think about it, it's like the torpedo, and then they put an amp around a torpedo captor.
Yeah.
Do you guys believe it? They took the known and loved torpedo, and they just built a guitar amp around it. And then the other person's like, oh man, the new Rev amp, it has a studio feature built right into it. It's called the torpedo captor.
It's both things. And what's crazy is like these amps are fucking great amps. Like it's not some gimmicky thing. These are full bore righteous guitar amps, and they also have the top of the line IR support capture nonsense from Two Notes. Yeah. So I think this is the smartest thing going in the biz right now. Two Notes, to get into this sort of like partnership with these manufacturers, is amazingly brilliant. It's so smart, because now, like, yes, you can still buy their hardware, but you don't have to buy two things, right? You want a new amp, but you want to record silently. You don't have to also drop a bunch of money on a load box and an IR thing and all that stuff. It's all baked in. So
it's magnificent.
We were talking about, like, the question in Discord was like, do you think UA might do the same thing and put the aux box in an amp, like partner with somebody and put it in an amp chassis? It would basically do the same thing, right?
Yeah, I would be surprised. So the UA is a bit different from
Two Notes.
From Two Notes, yeah. I'm trying to like think about, like, am I right about this? As I start to talk, I think I am. You know, UA partners with other companies, but in the sense that they model what other companies make.
Yeah.
You know, Two Notes, I think they're much more niched than a company like Universal Audio.
Yes.
You know, like their whole thing is this like impulse responses and emulation of that sort of side of it, and load boxes, that whole scene. Like, they are the kings of that. And I would almost think like they could have gone the other way. Like, UA could have partnered with Two Notes to make the aux box. You know what I mean?
See, yes,
because it's got UA's IRs on it. That's essentially what's going on here. And then a couple of and then they've done it their own way too. I mean, things aren't exactly the same. I mean, it's I don't know. UA is just a little bit different.
It's also an attenuator. The aux box, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can still, it's doing a different thing.
And Two Notes makes those too.
Yes.
But it's not the one, that's not what they're putting into these amps, is it?
No. No, I don't think so. I've not heard anything about that. I've heard it. Yeah, probably. But, so like, I've been thinking, like with like, I had, like with the Novo thing, I had been saving some money in this rainy day fund for a while. And then I did the math to figure out how much I would have by the end and if it would cover it, which it does. It would also cover maybe something like a new amp. So I was looking at, when I saw the Rev Generator 120 Mark III come out, I was like, Jesus, like, because the Rev amps sound so good. And like, I love their models in Helix. Everything I've seen from them, I've been really impressed with. And I thought, well, this is the one, right? It's really expensive and it's way too much amp for me. But is
it a 120 watt?
It is, yeah. And it's intensely brutal. It sounds great. It's a $3,300 head, you know, and then like I don't have a cab to support that if I were to take it and play on a stage, you know.
So you'd have to get the aux box as well.
Well, no, because this one's got the thing. So I would have to get some kind of either FR.
No, I mean, because it's a load, you'd have to tone it down for your cab.
Yeah. But like, you know, enter the G20 and the D20, which are 20 watt versions of new Rev amps. They're not generator circuits or anything like that, but they still have the same Two Notes support on those models as they do this. And I'm just thinking, like, that the success that I've had with Helix so far has been awesome. The consistency, people talk about that, but I'm telling you, it's when you experience the consistency, it's like, that's not a bullshit thing people say. Like, it's not a bullshit feature, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I was on the Tone Jerks episode. I said, like, I bring the Helix to Matt's house and we work on Delaney songs, and then I can work on them here at home and just plug in the Helix, and it's all the same. There's no weird blips with how it sounds when I did this other take, and none of that. this would do the same thing while also giving you that quote real guitar amp feel. You know, and like the other stuff that real guitar amps can do. So
yeah,
the Victory, the V4 here, the Kraken, this is almost pedal board size. Like it's a pretty big footprint, but it could fit on a pedal board.
Yeah.
And it's got a foot switch, which I thought was on off at first, which would be stupid, but it's just the gain stage, which is fucking great. It's like Class D power. Yep. It's super lightweight. That's why
it's so small and light. Yeah. Oh my God, this whole website's freaking out.
Oh my God, look at you. It's 180 watts. It's wild. And it sounds really, really, really good. You know, it's if you were going to go into an ampless, a traditional ampless kind of setup, cabless setup, you got to be looking at these kinds of things because I think it's the way of the future. You know, if you're hesitant to go down the full Kemper, Fractal, Helix, Headrush, whatever route, this is the next thing. And I mean, I don't know, you might know more about this, Justin, than I do, but like I feel like people knew about IRs and were way more accepting of IRs before they were more accepting of amp models. Does that sound right? Does it feel right? Like maybe it's just my perception of all of this.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I'm in that world quite enough to know that, honestly.
Well, I just mean because like, it must have been with like Kemper or something. Because when all this stuff came out, it was like, and it supports IRs. And I remember thinking like, well, I don't even know what that is. But it must be a standard enough thing for a company like Line 6 to want to have it in their thing. So
yeah, could be, I guess.
Maybe. It's crazy though. Like it's so small, it's so powerful. There's a rotary dial on these things. They hold 6 IRs, and then you can plug them in USB and manipulate those IRs, impulse responses or IRs. So should we break this down if people aren't familiar?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So essentially, like what's happening is an impulse response is sort of an impression of how some piece of equipment or some situation changes. So there's been impulse responses of stuff for things like reverb for a long time. So it's essentially like playing a sound into a room and then measuring that sound with a microphone in different places in the room. And then you recombine those to essentially remove the original sound, and all you're left with is the difference. So this is what happened, what the room did to it. And so now you've made an impulse response of that room's reverberation. So the same thing we do with guitars. Basically, you put a signal through a guitar amp and speaker and then delete the original sound from it, and what you're left with is essentially what has changed. And so that is essentially made into, like put into these speaker emulations. And then the trick, of course, is to make them variable, because with speakers, you don't have the same impulse response from a quiet sound as you do from a loud sound. So that's when I think the tech really like kind of took off. Because I think that happens to a certain extent with other things, but with guitar speakers, with the speaker impulse responses, it's super, super important to making the impulse response sound realistic. So I think there was like a technology leap when that started being able to be not only measured, but then represented with the software and hardware. Really, it's software. It's just being placed in hardware. Because like when you talk about like speaker emulated outputs, like I have some pedals and some random stuff that has like a speaker emulated output, but they're just using like electronic components to change the equalization a little bit so it sounds more like a speaker. It's not the same. It's not even in the same league as an impulse response. So
Yep. So right. And when we're talking about IRs in this space, it's typically cabs and stuff like guitar speakers and cabinet, and which includes the microphone, I should say. Like I have
Kempers
a bunch of
are technically, like everything a Kemper does is technically a super complicated impulse response. And
even
I think
down to the amp, yes.
Right. I mean, because that's what they're doing. You're playing it through this, and it's sending its tones through there, and then and seeing what happens to them on the other side, and comparing that. And it does it like it has you do it several different times under different conditions, so that it can get that variability. That's what it's doing. So a Kemper is really literally creating an impulse response, dynamic capture, impulse response, and calls it a capture. Yeah.
Yeah, and Neural DSP does the same thing now. So. Yeah, I have a bunch of IRs now. I've amassed a small collection, and they're like, a Mesa oversized cab with a 57, and then there's like 5 of those.
Yeah,
and it would be either mic distance or how far off the cone it is, or whatever it might be. Sorry, I'm burping a lot. That's from that's up to the manufacturer, I guess. Like the ML Sound Labs ones that Brian at the Tone Jerks turned me on to. There's like 5 of each mic, and they're in decreasing amounts of brightness, is what they say. So A is the brightest, and E is the darkest. And then they do some others where they're like pretty common mic blends, and they name them something like modern or vintage or whatever. And they're sort of like more
or
packed
whatever is
up
a weird name for that, but that's okay.
Yeah. You should. I mean, they are kind of weird names. It's like the ones for orange cabs are all fruit based, of course. So.
Jesus. Nice. That was the low hanging fruit.
Oh, God. So I don't know. This is just some cool ass shit. Like I don't know what else to say other than like this is the thing, right?
This is the thing.
Yeah.
Combined with who was it? Is it Bogner? There was a while ago. There was an amp that had, I think it had some of this kind of stuff in it, like an IR in the back, but it also had like digital controls on the, like all the knobs. It was a full tube amp, but all the knobs were digital controls. Instead of actual
Line 6 did that. Line 6 partnered with Bogner ages ago, if that's what you're thinking of.
Maybe.
It could also be like Hughes and Kettner does that kind of stuff too.
Maybe it was them.
They have a newer
like it
one
wasn't
that might
Line
be
6.
Yeah. Also, this was 12 years ago or something like that. Like it was. Yeah.
And that's not what I'm talking about. I don't talk about old stuff. So it's impossible.
He said, pulling up the tab for the aux box.
What's this? This is thing. It's fun little gadget right here.
It's funny. Like I've been going through this like Helix journey and stuff, and like, look, I see the aux box in every goddamn guitar YouTube video now. And I remember when we talked about this stuff when it first came out, I was like, this is amazing, but I don't understand what it does. Like I because it was so. I remember talking about Helix, and I was like, but it's amps. Like that doesn't. My stupid guitar lizard brain could not put that together. And now it's like, I think I mentioned this, they increased the oversampling on the new Helix update, and everything just sounds better.
It turns out.
It just all sounds great.
That's funny because like I get into discussions sometimes with fellow recording nerds such as myself about like, sampling frequency and shit like that, like high sample rate recording. And I've probably made this position clear on several occasions, but I'll tell anyone who'll listen that I think higher sample rates than humans can hear is bullshit. And I think basically hard drive manufacturers are trying to sell it to you. Because it's just making your audio files take up more space for no fucking reason. Because audio is not like a picture. There is no resolution in audio. The closer thing to resolution would be bit depth. But 16-bit is already like, the noise floor is quieter than a fluorescent light bulb, like by a lot. So like that doesn't matter. Like until you start making, like the only reason we use 24-bit in recording is because we're stacking so many tracks. But if you have one file, like all these music players that are like, well, you have 24-bit audio, doesn't matter. You're stupid. You're wasting your time. That doesn't matter at all. And so I'll do 24-bit in a multi-track recording, of course, but I don't mess with higher sample rates unless a client tells me to. And then like oh yes, of course. And then whatever. I don't talk about clients behind their backs, but in my head, I'm thinking, you
dumb idiot.
dumb idiot. Except, and here's what I'm getting to, when you're doing things like processing, plenty of plugins, all the UA plugins and almost all plugins that are worth a damn, are going to oversample within them. So they're essentially going to convert to like a simulated analog and re-oversample. So you're not adding frequencies that weren't captured to begin with, but you are measuring it more frequently, which allows them to, it allows the things that are happening in processing to happen at perhaps a higher fidelity. But it has nothing to do with what you hear just as a static audio file. You know, it's like a totally different thing. And that's where things do matter. So like, yeah, oversampling in the software of the Helix absolutely make a difference. It'll make a difference in reverbs because especially like that's a particular effect where, especially down at the end of the trails, things will get all crunchy because that's when you really are using all those super quiet bits. Little samples down at the end. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't need to, that's plenty of that shit on this show from me.
I think all that's very interesting. I don't know. I mean,
do you get what I'm saying about, because like you're into like photos and videos, like, so with photos and videos, there is a resolution. Like
there's a maximum size, and like
right, and it's pixels. Like every frame has that many pixels in it, and so if you go bumping up your resolution, there is more quality. You can zoom in, and the picture will stay clear. And that doesn't happen with audio.
Yeah, so like that's why they can keep rescanning old movies into 4K and 8K and on and on and
it's
on.
grain, it's analog.
Because it's analog and there is no resolution on film either. Yeah. So like they can just take a tighter, smaller pixel capture. Yeah, but like when you're talking about and when you're talking about like scanning that up to 4K or what, like the new on Disney Plus, there's 4K Star Wars. It looks like a goddamn different movie than I ever saw. Because there's like such intensely high resolution options on analog film. And then you're still looking at that on the same 55-inch screen or whatever you have at home, right? So the pixel density increases, which makes it look better and better and better. So I don't know, we're getting off topic a little bit.
The prequels were shot on digital, and let me tell you what.
That's
true. The Disney Plus, you go call up the Phantom Menace on Disney Plus if you're in for some torture. It doesn't look good.
That's what didn't age well. Yeah, I mean, well, it's not about age with those movies, but yeah, visually they didn't age well.
Yeah, right. So, but there isn't a direct analog. People think that like, 96K is double the resolution of 48. It's not. It's because it's the frequencies you hear. There is no more data at each individual second, because your sound you perceive over time, you can't freeze frame it. You can't pause sound and be hearing it. So there is no resolution. God, dude, anyway,
this is so intense. This is
intense.
Well, like I knew that, but I've never heard those words to describe it, and it's a great, great point. So that's all I'm saying. Like it's Anyway,
so
IRs are great.
44.1 captures everything you can hear. Because that's all it is. It's the number of samples is double the maximum frequency that it can record. And that's it. That's all that means. And because we use, as long as you're using a Nyquist filter, as long as you're filtering off sounds that are above that so that they don't screw up and cause aliasing in the recording, then it doesn't matter. And so the only reason early digital equipment sounded bad is because they weren't filtering. You can record something in 8-bit and have it sound pretty good as long as you're using a pre-filter before the encoder.
Words.
Straight up. Because if you get those extra frequencies, if you're recording something in, like in 44.1 and there's frequencies above 22,000 hertz, then those can cause aliasing. They can cause essentially a reflection. So it's the same thing as when you look at a movie and you see a wagon wheel turning, and if it's just at the right speed, it'll look like it's rotating backwards because every 24 samples that's the film, right? 24 samples per second. And if the wagon wheel's turning at 30 times a second, each time it takes a sample, the wagon wheels actually appears that it has moved backwards instead of forwards, or a helicopter on an iPhone, like weird stuff like that. Yes. That's aliasing. And that will start to happen with audio too, and you'll get these things where essentially the frequency mirrors back on itself. So very high frequencies will alias down in the low spectrum. And so if you're not filtering those out, you get these weird artifacts. And there's ways of making them more obvious to show you what that is. But that's what goes wrong. As long as you're filtering your audio, you can use 44.1 16-bit and it will sound great. It doesn't matter. But processing, it does help to oversample in processing. And this is probably if I do a Tone Jerks episode about recording shit.
This is going to be
you're going to be able to eat it with a spoon. Let me tell you what. Shit.
Records everything you need and nothing you don't.
Is there anything else you want to say about load boxes and amps? It's fucking, It's awesome.
Great. I just want to say, like, if you're not totally familiar with like the Rev D20, for example, go look that up and see what people are doing with it. Because it's a straight up, it's a tube amp that you can plug into your computer. So that's it. Like that alone is, it melts the brain. And they sound so good, so real. You can plug them into a cab. Yeah, right. And the 2Notes software, like you get the license for the desktop stuff, and you can do all of this like crazy customization with those IRs. So get on it, folks. I mean,
fucking do it.
Okay, baby. Let's move on. Let's move.
Okay, let's move on. Next up, we're gonna do the pedal Genie. So get ready, jerks, because here we go.
Pedal Genie is like the Netflix of guitar pedals. Rent any pedal you want for as long as you want for one low monthly price. Shipping is included and there are no late fees or time limits. With over 1,500 pedals to try from nearly 100 different manufacturers, Pedal Genie definitely has the gear you want to try. Subscriptions start with Flex at just $19.95 a month. Try out one pedal at a time for as long as you want. Send it back when you're ready for the next one. For only $39.95 a month, the standard subscription includes shipping, so you could have a different pedal every few days. If one isn't enough for you, Pedal Genie Pro gets you 3 pedals at a time for only $64.95 a month. Shipping included. There's a subscription for everyone, and best of all, your first month is free. If you find the pedal of your dreams, the one you just have to keep, Pedal Genie will offer you a buyout option. Prices vary with the length of your membership and the type of pedal, but you'll definitely get an awesome price for the pedal in your hand. So head to pedalgenie.com to fill up your wish list with pedals, and they'll send out your first pedal ASAP. Pedal Genie, all your pedal wishes granted.
There it is. There it is. The
one butt Genie. One butt gift tonight.
Just
That's
one,
fine.
Yeah. It was a little rough.
Doug's a little under the weather from his COVID vaccine. That's fine. That's
a really good gift, though. That's a really good gift. I'm continuing to monitor occasional encoding lag. Apparently, I'm overloading my computer, and I wonder if I just have so many damn tabs open this time, because it seems to happen sometimes when I click to a new tab. So I'm hoping the video is not choppy. I'm hoping it's not doing something to the audio, because that would really devastate me. But there ain't much I can do about it right now. So we turned a no news episode into very long without.
That's fine. Let's do it, man.
It's all good. So
we always do this though. Whatever.
We always do this shit. We always do. So Derek, it looks like you got another B-Tronics, my man.
Yeah, it's the second B-Tronics in three pedals, 3 episodes. So this time it's the Octahive. I think this was one of their first pedals. It was a very early one when they came on the scene. And we were like, this looks like it belongs in the Fallout universe. Like it was, because they were doing relict pedals and stuff. They look all banged up and very like kind of Cold War type tech, you know, like the big lens for the LED, the cool washers on the stomp, on the switch. This one I have here looks a little bit different. It's not blue. It's actually green. The aging is not quite the same. The knobs are different. But otherwise it's the same pedal, same circuit. They just changed the look, I guess. So instead of this, like on the website here, you're looking at like a seafoam green kind of, or sorry, like a what is the Fender color? Like a Daphne blue? Sonic blue.
Sonic blue. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
And the one I have here is definitely more like lime green. So I put together a Helix patch before we started recording just to try some other stuff out. So today we're running, this is the Fender Deluxe vibrato channel. And the IR, since we were just talking about IRs, is the ML Soundlabs Sir Pete Thorne 212 cab, like the Pete Thorne custom 212, with a 57. And this is option B, so it's not quite as bright as option A. I also have a really quick delay, just a little space, and some room reverb, and the effects loop, which has the Beatronics Octahive in it, coming before the amp. So it's not the fuzz, it's a fuzz pedal. It's not in the effects loop of the amp, it's in the effects loop of the Helix.
Gotcha.
And that's a block, which I can put before the amp as though the pedal is in front of the amp. So clean tone.
Well, I heard it for a moment.
Okay.
Do you have your Discord set to voice activation?
Probably. Yes. Okay.
Pull that sucker wide open. There it is.
Okay. You guys hear those repeats? A little bit. Cool. So yes, this is a fuzz pedal with an octave up, an analog octave up kind of thing, Octavia style. There's one foot switch, and then on the side, next to the input jack, there's a little mini toggle switch to turn the octave on and off. Before we even play a single note through this pedal, I can say that is a thing I don't like. I really wish that the octave was on its own foot switch. I've said this a million times about other octave fuzzes. I want the octave to be independent. I want it, I can use it without the fuzz. I can turn them on and off with my feet instead of reaching down and flipping that little switch. So there's 3 controls: pre, honey, and volume. So pre is like the input to the pedal. Honey is the gain, and volume is the output volume. And then the LED has this cool like milky white lens on it, but inside when the octave is on, it changes the LED color, which is rad. So,
cool. Yeah.
I'm playing my FMT Telecaster today, double humbucker, Les Paul style telly. Okay.
Les Paul style telly is a very funny thing to say.
So this is octave off. The LED is so blue, it's like I can't really see it. It's like that.
It's like hard to perceive.
Yeah, it is. Like, like how do you ever like drive by like a neon sign for a place that has a crazy blue sign, and it's like doing that weird like it's doing that to me.
Yes. Well, because I have my eyes have astigmatism. That's basically the only thing that's up with my eyes. And if I don't wear my glasses at night, I get this strange streaking, and that thing you're talking about, like a blue LED, like pure wavelength, it's the worst. It like makes me like blink and do all kinds of weird stuff. I feel like it's trying to reprogram my brain.
And so like I as I turn my head and like it's like parallaxing with my eyeballs. It's so weird. So like the red is just as intense. So anyway, this is just the straight up fuzz. Everything's pretty much in the middle. One thing is the maximum, like 10 on these knobs, is straight down with the little pointer. So it's a little bit tricky to find where exactly noon is. But I'm approximating noon on this except for the output volume. So apologies if I just peak this right here.
It's pretty big.
It's a big one. So let's turn, I guess, the pre way all the way up. Cool. Put the pre back. This is the honey all the way up, so the drive. Super rich. Again, clean tone. Now, let's turn on the octave, which this is an analog octave, so it's just like flipping the waveform. Is that right? Like it's taking the bottom half or something like that?
Oh, it could be if it's transformer based. Yeah.
So like here's...
Or I guess you could do that with diodes too, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, here's my no, octave on, octave on.
Okay.
So it's doing that like splattery. Now, if we go to the neck pickup and kind of turn the volume down a little bit above like the 10th, 11th, 12th fret, does that like Hendrix thing. Pretty fun.
Yeah.
So, back to no octave. Really, that octave sound I think is best when you turn the volume on your guitar down a little bit.
Give it room to breathe a bit.
Yeah. So
filthy.
Doug says he wants to hear it through a big reverb. We can do that, dude. Let's friggin' go.
Fucking do it.
Let's see. I want. Oh, let's use the new one. There's a new thing called Dynamic Hall. And turn the delay off. Make a long decay. Bring the mix up pretty high. Turn the pre-delay down a little bit. And here we are. We're getting there. All right, here we go.
That's some like movie soundtrack level shit right there.
Yeah. So what else is there to say about the Octahive? It's cool. It looks really great. I love the style that Beatronics has. It's $230. It's, now I'm gotta say though, let me turn off my things here. I didn't love this through my actual AC30. Okay, everything's off. I didn't love this through my amp. And I think it might be because it was like it deserves to be very loud, or it really needs to be in a certain type of. Well, I was trying to play like at home. You know, it wasn't. It was loud, but it wasn't like band practice loud. It sounds awesome through the Helix though. Like I'm liking it way more in this context than in my basement, which is really interesting. And actually, I think really the first time this has happened. Mm-hmm. So. Maybe it's just because I wasn't able to run the amp super mega loud and stuff and get that, really let it open up. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little weird with fuzz pedals too. We've kind of talked about that before. I don't love all kinds of fuzz. I do really enjoy octave fuzzes, and this would be a definite like go for me if that octave was on its own foot switch. But
right.
That alone, because I don't always want the octave on, because when you're playing big low chords, the octave up sounds weird and tinny and not. It's not what I want. It would be
rad to be able to kick it, you know.
Yeah, right. And you're getting up there for leads and stuff. You want that screeching, you know, searing octave up sound. You just temporarily. So, it's a lot of fun. I like it more than the previous Beatronics pedal I had, the Fat B. I'm really glad I got to try this. This has been on my list for a really long time. And like I said, I think it's one of the early Beatronics pedals, or at least one of the designs.
I super recognize it.
Yeah. Do they have a picture of the circuit board on this page?
No.
No. I can bother to take this one apart if you want to see it. But like they do this really great thing because all their PCBs are like also designed to look amazing. It's B-shaped and like honeycomb shaped, and they actually have like, it's almost like their PCBs are a part of their marketing materials too. So
right,
it really, really cool pedal, the Octahive from Beatronics.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your turn. Justin.
Well, okay. So here's the thing, we're already at an hour.
Oh yeah.
So I think I should save this, and because we want to we want to go ahead and plug one more thing here before we close out.
Let's do that.
So let's jump over to that. Five-watt world.
Yeah, so this is unfortunately, I put this on the notes because it was also kind of like a discussion-y type thing. But
that's okay.
The thing,
that's why I wanted to not do another pedal.
Okay, yeah. So 5-Watt World is a YouTube channel run by a guy named Keith Williams. And I think he's actually from New Hampshire area, like, or Vermont maybe. Oh, yeah. Just coincidentally. I think he doesn't live around here anymore. But his YouTube channel is fabulous, and it's a really great place to learn about a bunch of guitar history and just why things are the way they are, which I love because like sometimes it's like, well, why do they make it this way? And he knows, he has the answer. And he does these long form, like 30-minute videos of like, here's a history of the Jazzmaster. And it's a full bore presentation of like, and it's really well documented and presented. He's got all these great sources and photos and demos and really great. His whole thing, though, and I love this idea so much, is the most music from the least gear.
Isn't this just the eventual evolution of guitar cable amp? Have we reached peak guitar cable amp?
But the thing is that's so nice about this channel is that he is not that way. He still wants 3 overdrives, you know, and
he's
still
not a dill
wants
hole about it.
Yeah.
Looking at you, dill holes.
A classic tone control zinger.
Got him.
But like I love the idea of the most music from the least stuff and like the least gear and this the guitar culture of chasing the tone and like maybe this overdrive and that delay or whatever. Like you're always kind of going after the next thing. But there's like a real personal choice with a lot of that stuff and a real, like, I think people have to be super honest with themselves about what it is they're doing and why. And he's got a video called How Many Guitars Do You Actually Need? And I was like, I feel very attacked, but that is very true. Like I know that about me. And you know, and I don't need all those guitars and it's how we all define that need space of like, to be a guitarist, what do you need? You need a guitar. End. Period. Stop. Right? You don't. Right?
Jesus. What?
But
how many years have we been making this show?
Yeah. You know what I mean, though? But then, well, it's like,
well, the whole time we should have done one episode. Guess what, bitches?
Here's the facts. But
guitar, stop.
But we're so quick to say, I need a Tele sound, I need a Les Paul sound, I need a 335, or whatever. And that's how we like justify these collections and stuff. Yeah. And some people, I think, probably do need those things, like, you know, people who are regularly gigging or session musicians, of course, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know. What's your take on the most music from the least gear? That's kind of what I wanted to get at.
There's been more than one occasion. There's been several occasions where I have experienced messing around with a bunch of stuff. You know, I can apply this to recording too. Actually, I have way more.
I think you could apply it to a lot of things.
But where you're messing around, you're stacking stuff, trying to get it. You know, you put this plug-in in. You know, let's say plug-in pedal. You know, you put that in. You put a plug-in in. You put a pedal in the chain, and that gets me closer. Wait, but now I need this other thing, and you keep adding the next thing, and then there's a important practice in mixing, and I think we should apply this to guitar too. Bypass and make sure you really did a good job, right? So once you get everything loaded up, take it all away and just compare and be like, did I really improve this? Because especially if you're doing things that have subtle changes, this makes more of a difference. But like thinking about specifically about guitar stuff, like I remember thinking, oh, I should have like a reverb pedal. And this is where I came gave myself the impression that I didn't like reverb pedals. But like I put a reverb pedal in my chain. I really liked it for a couple of band practices or something. And then at some point I turned it off and was like, oh, my guitar sounds better now.
Yeah, yeah.
That sucks.
Right.
Why
yeah,
was I doing that? And that's kind of maybe it's a specific example, but I think that matters.
You're totally right. It matters, and I also think like I have downsized my stuff a lot, and I'll be the first one to tell you I have all these guitars because I like them. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't play in the type of music or in a band that can really rightfully say I need this sound or I need that sound, because that choice is up to me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So like, and when you're doing original music, it's like, well, I went into Delaney saying like, this will probably be a humbucker band for me, like just kind of knowing that, and
sure,
and applied that and have built my Delaney sound with that in mind.
You don't think you could fit singles into a Delaney song? Well,
Matt's playing singles.
Oh.
So like,
I was going to say, I was listening to Delaney going,
yeah,
I don't think that's all humbucker.
No, it's not. So, but you know what I mean? Like, when I bring my single coil guitars to practice for the sake of variety, because I like to play guitars. Is that such a crime?
Sure.
It is really,
yes.
It's really different, you know? It's when I plug those single coil guitars in, it's like, this does not work for this right now. And it's probably because the rig is more adapted to a different type of guitar. But it's play what you want. Fuck what Matt's doing, says Doug in the chat. Yes. But like, I don't know. I like, it's just as like a spirit of moving forward with music and guitar and what it means to you. Is like really dial in why it is you are buying things or selling things or collecting or whatever, I just think I'm really like waffling here, I guess. I'm trying to pin down what it is I'm saying and I can't. But does this make any sense?
Yeah.
Like in the guitarist culture of like having a bunch of stuff for what if?
I think, well, okay, so 5-watt world, like at first I'm thinking, oh yeah, like, well, small amps. I mean, this is a common thing. Like if you've done enough experimenting with guitar amps, you know that there's a lot of guitar sounds that get better when you reduce the wattage of the amp. And that's why so many amps are coming nowadays with power soaks or whatever, like a switch that essentially drops it to 5 watts or something like that. Because unless you actually need all that volume, it probably sounds better. Most amps sound better when they're in the upper part of their range. That's technically when, well, I was about to say when they're most efficient. There are certain amps that you want to run in their high efficiency range. Guitar amps you usually want to run above their high efficiency range, right? That's when the most pleasing things happen. That's why there's the sounds that we desire, unless it's like one of those Roland jazz choruses, the one solid state amp everyone loves for some reason, which I just can't fathom. But
it's a stereo amp. That's why
I don't care about that. Who gives a shit? Who would carry around a jazz chorus? Oh my God, because it's stereo. Jesus.
It's stereo, and I believe it was the first introduction of the chorus effect. It's just got a ton of notoriety because of that kind of thing.
All right, whatever.
So they took the chorus out of that and put it into a stomp box, and that's, we've got Boss pedals because of that. So,
well, that's better. It's a better place for the chorus.
You know what I mean? So anyway, right? Yes, in like the name of the channel suggests that, like, do you need something more than 5 watts or a low wattage amp? And my AC30 gets really effing loud, and honestly, it's too much for here at home.
Yeah,
which is where we've been for the last 14, 15 months. So like,
enter Helix, but
right, and I've had a lot of, like, I hate this term, like, but soul searching, because I can't think of another way to put it. But as far as like, how much guitar gear do I need, versus what do I want, and really just admitting to myself, like, oh, I really want that pedal because I love how it sounds and looks and the vibe of the whole thing. That is constantly at odds with why is that though? Why do I need it? Why do I want it? I'm going to get it. I'm going to play it the day it comes in and probably over the weekend. And then it's going to go the way of all my other pedals and just hang out in the collection most of the time. So
think the idea of the channel, like what it is and what it's focusing on, is very introspective, and that is
introspective is a much better word. Yes,
that is never bad, because like this doesn't preclude the conclusion that yes, I do need these 5 things.
Yeah,
it's just making sure you really do and this is like, what was that thing, like, does it spark joy? Like that thing from what you know what I mean? Like, I think this is like spiritually in the same zone as that. Like, let's actually pay attention to what we actually want, and
that's what I mean. Yeah. So, and the spiritual aspect of it is, I was just talking to Eric today about this, and like, music and guitar, to me, this is really heady and like really big to drop right here, but like music and guitar for me operates the same way I think that like a quote unquote higher power can for some people. Like, no matter what happens to me, my family, my job, like whatever, I always have that. And
it centers you.
It centers me, and it always makes me happy, and it always gives me something to focus on, and whether it's a distraction or focused practice or whatever it is, like that's how it feels to me. And not all day, every day or anything like that, but it's that level of importance to me personally. So like, that introspective, like how much stuff do I need versus, you know what, I want a Novo because I fucking want it. And I don't need to justify it to anyone else because it's a great,
explain myself to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So like those things, like I said, constantly at odds.
But I think what you're actually at odds with is justifying it to yourself, because you are introspective about it. Like, you're actually saying like, all right, I'm going to start putting money away, but like, you're not just like going to blow your car payment money on this guitar.
No, right. I'm not being irresponsible about it. Yeah.
You're thinking about it, and you're going to say, okay, well, you're going to start making moves in that direction. I mean, maybe you change your mind, maybe you don't, but there's no part of that for you that's not introspective.
Yeah, right.
I think.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's all. I wanted to mention the channel because I love the vibe of this, like this idea of really taking a super close look at how much you can do with the least amount of stuff. Not just with what you have, because some people have a ton of stuff, but what can you do if you set up intentional limitations for your thing? Keith Williams did this video using the same guitar rig for 30 days. Like, not changing your pedals, not changing presets or anything for 30 days. One guitar, 3 pedals, and an amp. What can you do? And like, how does that reframe? How does that rewire your music brain,
That's an exercise like scales is an exercise.
Yeah. And he mentioned like he did this because he had to move, and like, things were in storage and whatever. And he actually used the same rig for closer to 60 days. And what that experience was like. And I'm like, man, I have all these guitars in the house, and I love them all. I love playing them. I love having them, looking at them, and like, I very intentionally rotate what I play because I want to use them all. If I were to like say, I'm going to use this guitar here for the next 60 days, it would double down, triple down so hard on why do I have all these other guitars? So,
No doubt.
Doug's saying it's not the first time I've mentioned 5-Watt World here. I know it's not, but I really wanted to like take a second and
I was about to ask you that, because I was like, have we talked about it before? Because he says he'll bet a supporter membership on it.
I think we've mentioned it in passing, like, I watched this 5-Watt World video here or there. I really only just started watching it really in depth in the last couple of months. Really would recommend. He's got like the whole history of the Fender Deluxe or something, some huge topic, some huge pillar, the huge pillars of guitar, right? How the Les Paul happened, how the Telecaster happened, and like, shit, make a cup of coffee. Let's go, Keith.
Let's go. All right. It sounds awesome. Let's bring this car around. Let's bring this boat to port.
Bring it in for a landing.
Let's bring this in for a landing. I'm going to switch to one of my other screens. I'm going to try to switch to my other screens. There we go. I know how to do my job. Okay. Listen up. If you've enjoyed these random ramblings, then Thank you and good night. No, and then we would love for you to. I'm just gonna do the full plugs. If you've enjoyed the Tone Control, I need you. Would you please go write a review?
Yeah.
We don't ever say this, and I think it's probably why there's like 25 people that know who we are. I know that's not really true, but it feels like sometimes that it's like we're hanging out with like a core group of friends instead of broadcasting to the world. I know there's a lot more of you out there, and if 1 in 10 of you write a review, like 100 more people would listen to the next episode of the show. So that's the thing that's coming down here. So I would love for you to write a review on whatever you're listening to us on right now. If it's YouTube, that's awesome because that's a brand new channel for us.
Yeah, leave some comments.
But like leave comments, do the things we need to, click the buttons and so on and do the things. Now, you should also probably come hang out in Discord. We've had a bunch of new people come into Discord lately and it's tons of fun. The place is awesome. Discord's totally free. Just go to discord.io/tonecontrol. And that'll take you right to it.
Can I interject like one thing?
Yeah.
We mentioned this small detail before. I get that people don't want to sign up for like a million platforms.
Yeah.
I've said this and say it again. Discord is not really a social network. It's not like a Facebook or a Twitter or an Instagram or anything like that. So it's more like Slack if you use Slack, or even Microsoft Teams. If you use that for work, it feels a lot like that. So we're all just talking about guitars, pedals, amps, movies, video games, music, Star Wars, whatever, and chilling.
Yeah, it's totally different. It's like a bunch of chat rooms and stuff. It's fun. And if you want to become a supporter of the show, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/thetonecontrol. And there you can become a supporter and we will thank you on every single episode. If you want to become a supporter at a level of $2 or more, you will be a supporter plus. You get a special role in Discord and you can hang out in the chat and watch the show live as it records instead of waiting till Monday. And you can heckle us and share gifts and ask questions and make little bets with us and stuff like that. Shout out to our patrons, brand new this week, Matthew Fenslaw. Said it totally right. All right. Anyway.
First try.
First try. Matthew Fenslaw, thanks very much for your support. That brand new guy, he's been extremely active in Discord. Love it. Love it. The rest of the supporters, Ryzen Wolf, Jamie Evans, Jeffrey Wright, Doug King, Doug Gann, Righteous Ryan Johnson, Steve Huffman, Jonas Sabatini, Eric.
Oh my God. You were on such a roll. You really were doing so good.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Say the name. Somebody say the name.
Eric Garibaldi.
Eric Garibaldi. Andrew Walsh from Andrew's Alcove. OG friend of the show, Brian Rizzi. Doug Christ of 37 Effects. Sean Wright of Lollygagger FX. And Brian Gower and Kyle McIntyre of the Tone Jerks podcast.
That was so great. I love that.
Thank you all so much.
Smooth sailing right until the middle of the thing, and then it's all bets are off.
Yeah, that's awful. Awful. Anyway, thank you all so much for your support, and please do send in those reviews because it super duper helps. Or like, just share the podcast with somebody. Like, if you really don't want to write a review, like, just find somebody. There's somebody you know.
There's somebody you
haven't
know
told about this podcast.
There's somebody that you know that you talk about guitar stuff like this with.
Yeah.
So share it with that person.
Yeah. All right. And that's going to do it for us over here. And thank you all ever so much. Oh God, why did I do a phony accent on my own podcast? It's such a dumb, stupid thing to do. Oh, my lordy May. All right.
I heard someone say, oh, my Lanta today.
That's terrible.
It was pretty bad, but it got a laugh out of me. So,
Okay. All right.
All right, gang.
Well, I don't know. We'll see you next time, I guess.
This is a weird one.